Good morning, everybody. How are you? Edward wants to know, how can two time frames have conflicting cycles? Sure. It's an easy question. And that actually helps me segue into my class this morning, Edward. So if you can hang on 5 minutes, I'll go over that with you. So, Ed, time exists as a wave. It's very helpful when you're using our tools to think of time as a wave. Everything in nature, metaphysics. What's the symbol for Eastern religion? Right? There's the yin yang. And then Western religion, you have a time for peace, a time for war, a time for planting, a time for harvest, a time for weeping, a time for laughing. Everything is oscillatory in the world. And so let's say this is a 60-minute cycle, right? Or a 15-minute signal. And so what you just asked me was, how can we possibly have a buy signal on the 60-minute and a sell signal on a 5-minute, or vice versa, 15-minute? And so, Edward, as we're going along that 15-minute cycle, we have 5-minute waves, right? More accurately, it would probably look like this, right? So are there going to be moments when the 15-minute cycle is up and there are 5-minute signals that are down? Will there be moments where they line up with each other and moments where they conflict with each other? Of course, right? So what do you do in that instance? I have never been able to do multi-time frame analysis. Somebody tried to convince me that that was important, and I've had customers that tell me, I look at the 1 minute, the 3 minute, the 5 minute, the 10 minute, the 15 minute, the 60 minute, the daily, the weekly, the monthly, the annual. And when all those things line up, I take a trade. God bless. If you can organize that many thoughts in your head, what I generally find before we get started with the class this morning is that if you allow yourself, if I allow myself, I can't speak for you, to have two thoughts that coexist and argue with each other. If I have a 5-minute signal and I have a 15-minute signal and they're talking to each other, I will talk myself out of good trades on the 5-minute chart. I will talk myself out of good trades on the 15-minute chart, because these two things give me permission to hesitate. It's too complicated for me. So let's take a look at where we are in relation to that. It's also very possible that on the 5-minute chart, your signal is an inverted pattern, like a 5 or a 4, which does line up with your 60, a sell or a buy. When we first started on Monday or Tuesday, we spoke about 4 phases of learning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to day 3 of our 4 stages of learning conference, exclusive for you in the Pro Trading Room welcome and thank you for attending. This is helpful for me because it allows me to record this into 3 bite-sized chunks that will be prominently highlighted in the resource center, the customer lounge, and available in perpetuity for people to review. It'll also allow us to break this up to people as they progress through their subscriptions, and sort of let them know what to expect. And hey, right around now, you should be looking for this. Right around now, you should be looking for that type thing. So I think it's been good. How have you found the first 2 classes? Is there any feedback moving into today that I need to be aware of? Moving too fast, too slow, too complicated, not complicated enough? More drawings, please. Less impersonations, more singing. Constructive criticism is always welcome. Okay. So phase 1, we learned where most people start and stop is generally a brand new user in the 1 to 4, 4 to 8. Well, let's call it the 1 to 8 week range. And we just look at the signals as buy and sell signals, standalone, positive and negative. And these signals are available to us on Warp, on Chronos, the data mining programs. They're available to us on Orion and daily cycle marker charts, which are lunar phases, apogees and perigees. They're available to us on sunspot cycle charts, large decades-long signals with buying and selling apexes. When we first start, we understand that the green or the white dots are predictive buying times, and that's all they are. We don't know anything about the rest of it yet. And vice versa for the blue or the red dots, we are understanding them to be predictive selling pressure times. And so inside of that envelope, we are addressing them predominantly in a trend environment. And that moving average is highly personal. We can use a standard 120 EMA or a 20 EMA like we're looking at today, or your choices are veritably limitless, from VWAPs to Bollinger Bands to Keltner channels to structural highs and lows. As long as you're consistent, most people using the software making money are trend trading. And so signals with trends and their associated crossovers, puncture trades, are trend variants of these buying and selling dots. We have the aggressive counter trend opportunities, which allow us to potentially take advantage of these highs or lows in a downtrend, which about a third of the time end up being pretty much spot on reversals, anecdotally speaking. And then we talked about the fourth possibility, something called a CDOS, close in the direction of the signal and waiting for that confirmation. We spoke about yesterday phases 2 and 3. And what I really liked out of yesterday, and I'm going to reinforce it today, backwards happens here. Backwards happens here. And specifically, we leaned into the idea of inversions. And after a while, let's come here. If you studied time cycles for longer than a few years, you begin to notice the presence of inversion signals. And we saw how they are prominently available to us once we have an awareness of them. We know then, for example, that the location relative to structure of the time signal, time as it relates to price, has a language. There are words. There are words. Time has a language. Higher high buy dot equals pattern 5. Lower low sell dot equals pattern 4. 3 consecutive higher closes or 3 consecutive higher highs equals pattern 9. 3 consecutive lower lows or 3 consecutive lower closes equals pattern 8. And so these are words that we can learn in an evolving understanding in the language of time, and how we treat those entries now from phase 1 is augmented in the sense that when we get to them, there are rules, there are personalities like species of animals. We used the allegory of a dog yesterday. A pattern 5 and a pattern 4 behave like pit bulls. A pattern 1 and a pattern 2 behave like golden retrievers. A pattern 6 behaves like a schnauzer. They have their little quirks and idiosyncrasies that are individual and unique to themselves. And so if we arrive at a buying time in a phase 2 understanding of time, we don't just buy it. We wait for a puncture of the structural high. We can, in fact, treat it like an aggressive counter trend until then, and actually invert or reverse our expectation of what that dot will do. So patterns 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 emerge in phase 2 of our understanding of time signals. But then we had this sort of additional insight years after the patterns are discovered. That book was originally created in 2016. We understand that these signals hunt in packs. That if there's a 4, there's usually an 8. If there's an 8, there's usually a 5 after that. If there's a 5, there's usually a 9 after that. And we come into this understanding of sequences of inversions, this idea that there are no bad time signals. There is this is the first occurrence for me and for many of you where this idea of a bad signal begins to evaporate, where indicators that are using up and down arrows or guru-based black box proprietary algorithms can have a bad signal. Time behaves the same way that a Fibonacci retracement does. It emerges from the soil of nature. It is primal, it is primordial. Nature is never wrong. It is only existing. It's telling us something. Gravity isn't ever wrong. Collapsing dwarf star isn't wrong. It is in a state and we're understanding it. And so as we emerge from stage 1 to 2 to 3, we're seeing a revelation of nature in time. There's this idea that things were always ever going to happen at a certain time. And that starts to mess with your head over a number of years. But we saw that using the software yesterday, we were able to come in and with Warp, disable show signal dots only, as well as enable the reverse polarity sequence tracker. As imperfect as it is, it gives us a weather vane of sorts to keep in mind what we're looking for. And we see that, like we did yesterday in today's live chart, at 8:54, William, the market finishes higher than it started, which implies that the cycle has inverted. And because inversions hunt in packs, because these patterns occur in sequence, we can assume or be alerted to the fact that 905 is likely to do what? Go down. instead of up, right? Do you guys remember that from yesterday? We actually had the opposite occur in our live example on the ES. We had a buy dot finishing lower, the rev pole firing off and warning us this thing's going to go up, and it went up $4. So it's hard to be wrong or hard to be right with any kind of guru intuition and that lucky in front of you in a class. I would posit that the theories I'm teaching you are more important and transferable. So this idea of tracking the signals one to the other, and manually, if you're a Chronos user, understanding did we finish higher or lower than the close of that time signal is a way to incorporate this method if you have a program like Chronos that's incapable of plotting these things, or if we're looking at lunar phases or other charts where this isn't built in to the programmatic logic, to the programmed logic. Okay. Then we started to have some fun talking about stage 4, which is where we're at. And it's this idea that because time is behaving like a wave, like a sine wave, we can do things to it under the auspices of physicists as opposed to fundamentalists, people who are trading and thinking this is how a stock moves because of the value of Apple or the veracity of Elon Musk and these types of things. And you started to see this neat little thing where we could even split time cycles into thirds and anticipate if the cycle has reverted back to normal yet. And in this instance, we see that, in fact, no, it hasn't. The white dot went down, the split went up, the red dot is going sideways, and there's every possibility that we're going to go higher at 9:25. Everything is backwards right now. And so as we start to verge, or we start to converge into phase 4, I called this in our spring event this year, our Edge live training event online, Omnia. Omnia is Latin for everything. It is my theory of everything that joins all of the stages of learning together in a single cohesive environment. And so as we look at Omnia, I want to tell you all just matter of factly what I know about time signals completely and utterly. And so I want to write all these rules down in one place at one time, perpetually, indelibly written. Time behaves as a wave. We call this the law of vibration. The law of vibration implies the law of oscillation, which means the signals always go from positive to negative to positive to negative. There is an oscillation between those two. Inside of vibrational law, the patterns determine the outcome of the movement, and the patterns as identified as of 10:25 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Number 4, we can split any gap of time into thirds. Number 5, every time signal has a corresponding support or resistance level that also forms highs and lows. It's the close of the candle. We haven't focused on support and resistance for now, but it's everything I know, so here we go. we can split any gap in time-based support and resistance into thirds as well. Anything we can do to time, we are allowed to do to price. There is a primary wave in time that I will historically refer to as the blue wave, and an inverted wave that you will see me in my charts refer to as the orange wave that exists at all times simultaneously. We are always on one or the other, and the times are always right. It is now a question of identifying the polarity. That might be hard to swallow for some of you, but it was hard to swallow for me. Number 8, Rev Pol, or what we call the orange wave, historically happens. Is there 2 L's? Are there 2 L's? Historically happens at the end of trends and are preceded by rapid acceleration sell dots and rapid deceleration buy dots, which, okay, inside of the Rev Pol sequence, there is a high or low level with an emergent trend line while we are constrained by these, the signals go backwards. Okay, finally, last but not least, we'll go here, 10. When we close, really? When we close above or below the high or low level or the emerging trend line, a 100 to 200% move occurs based on the height of this pattern. That's everything I know. And so this allows me to look at any chart with any method, warp, chronos, apogee-perigee, lunar phases, solar cycles, force charts, vibrational charts. I could do this by hand without any software at this point in time and determine in essence what is likely to happen in the next 3 seconds, 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 days. So in your books and what we'll be sending out today, there is a pattern that we alluded to yesterday, and I'll make sure you get a copy of each of these before we start today, that talks about what happens and identifying where we are in a cycle based on how price is behaving in relation to the time signals at the moment. We talked yesterday, and we're going to really key in on this morning. How do we know when the sequence is beginning? How do we know when the Rev Pols are starting? How do we know when to look for these structural patterns when everything is backwards and then returns to normal? There are 2 signals that we taught about in Edge last year, and here's where we kind of start to really dig into it. But first, before I continue, William, what did I say we were looking for at 9:25? before I went into that whole spiel. Do all of you believe me, at least in principle or theory? And have all of you seen weird stuff where I said, this is going to happen, not what you think, watch it, it's going to do this instead, and it did it. And if I do that 3 or 4 times in a row, I'm not lauding it over you, I'm not trying to brag or boast. I want you to understand that the things that I'm teaching you this week are important, and they happen again and again and again. And when you watch the software for 17 years, you will learn these things and achieve. You'll be Luke Skywalker at the end of the thing versus Luke Skywalker at the beginning of the thing. It is worthy of your obsession. For me to be able to tell you it's going sideways until 925 and then going up, it's not something that I know how to do that no one else knows how to do. It's a formula. It's physics. It's thermodynamic laws. It's crazy to think that that was predictable. And yet here we are. It's possible. What I want to focus on this morning, and I'm not sure what your reactions are. You're awfully quiet. It's hard to read, but that's not your responsibility. You paid for me to talk. There are 2 things that I want you to look for when you're watching for these signals. And Warp actually has, if you were at the Edge conference, there's actually an identifier in the program. I'm not going to turn it on. It's called retrograde patterns, RASD, RDBD. If you're using Chronos or Warp and you see 1, 2, 3 higher closes in a row, and the sell dot is one of those signals, that is called a rapid acceleration sell dot. It is a trigger alerting you before we have a puncture that this thing is probably going up until the next white dot, and then the white dot will drop. Above the moving average in an ascending market, if you have 1, 2, 3 higher close candles in a row, when the sell dot is one of those 3, we're calling that a rapid acceleration sell dot. These can occur on primary signals. They can occur on splits. Whatever a split signal is, all of the other stuff applies to it. Support and resistance applies to it. Patterns apply to it. Everything we know from the primary signals applies to split signals. If you see in a downtrend, let's get rid of the signals and the rev poles, the patterns in the rev poles, we're going to take those off. Let's go back and look at yesterday. These are little sneaky signals. William, can you see here? 1 low close. Come on, Mike, get your life together. 2 low close, 3 low close. If there's a doji, keep looking for the next sequence. I call this a dirty RDBD because there's 1 little doji candle in the middle. It means we're going down until the blue dot and then going up. That was 9 o'clock last night. Let's try to find something that was more in real time. Here it is. William, ready? 1, 2, 3. Here's another one, William, ready? 1, 2, 3. These are rapid deceleration bidots. They're a horrible name, but it's the one I used when I started and stuck. Okay? That can be your first indication in phase 4 that things are about to get upside down. All right, let's go find one more, drive it home. Right, this is at 3 in the morning. Why not? 1, 2, 3. Here's another one. 1, 2, 3. Rapid deceleration bidot. Okay, on the opposite side, when we're climbing, and you start to look at punctures a little differently when you see this. Stay with me. 1, 2, 3. Rapid acceleration cell dot above the moving average. Means we're going up until the next white dot, which will probably be a pattern 5. Let's go back and find another one. Oh, that one was so close. But William, you see it right there? 1, 2, 3, and then this little turd right here kicked it off. Here's the one. 1, 2, 3. It's warning us that this is coming, this reversal sequence with everything going upside down. Okay. Let's go find 1 or 2 more. And I want to burn it in your retinas. This is a dirty one. 1, doji, 2, 3. Rapid acceleration cell dot, warning us that we're moving into an apex. The trend is about to climax and reverse. Here's another one, William. 1, I don't know why I keep calling on you. So sorry. 1, 2, 3. Rapid acceleration cell dot. You will notice these things more and more. Now, fun fact. I am a bully. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be more sensitive. I'm not the best people person, and I'm getting worse at it when I get older. When you're in stage 4, you understand that backwards happens. You understand that backwards can happen in a sequence. You start to learn the theory of omnia. One thing I've noticed that I want to teach you guys, I don't think I've ever said it publicly. If you are in an uptrend, and you come across a sell signal, and that sell signal is a higher close, William, if all I have is that, Carrie, if I have one candle that's a higher close, I'm immediately suspicious of it, and I can try to go long right here. Isn't that crazy? If I have one high close signal in an uptrend, right? It's not a CDOS for sure. It's closing in the opposite direction in an uptrend at a sell signal. I'm immediately suspicious, William, that it might do this. And so I don't have a name for this trade, but when you hear me refer to it in my room, I'm talking about it like a rocket ship. There's been a lot of rockets fired into space and a lot of space debris falling back to Earth. And so you can sort of envision these as the candle body being a SpaceX Falcon 9 or Super Heavy, and that candle pushing off and the rocket going higher and higher. So when I see a high close candle at a sell signal in an uptrend, for me in my brain, I'm like, let me try it long and treat it like a buy dot, which is seriously insane. if you're in the phase one, and vice versa. If I get to a buy signal in a downtrend and I'm seeing that buy signal is a low close like this, oh, is it going to go down even further? And in my head, I'm going, wait a minute. What if this is one of those rapid deceleration buy dots? And some of you are here. Let me check and see. Is the big guy here today? Earl is not here today. Some of you use PVT. Hey, Jill. And PVT at this point would be red. And I actually have a system for this where I will treat the white as a blue. So even though there's a 3 candle sequence, 1, 2, 3, if I see that the primary signal is a sell signal and a downtrend, you can try a short here long before you hit the puncture with low risk. All right. So what's the difference between stage 1, 2, 3, and then 4? Stage 4 says we don't need any indicator whatsoever other than the time signals. So if we come over to TradingView, right, let's give the Chronos people some love. Let's get this thing focused up here. Where are our signals? There they are. Here's a 5-minute Chronos chart. What are some things we can ascertain right away with a phase 4 understanding of markets? Number 1, the 720 signal went down. Number 2, the 850 signal went up, right? So we're already starting to see that things are backwards on the 5-minute chart. Let's go ahead and delete those. Take that off. The other thing we can use are splits. A split for me in TradingView uses the fib time zone tool. So I can go and split any 2 sequences, any 2 signals into thirds. And so when I click on this, you'll see the levels that I've put into there. 0 is red, 1 is green, 33 or 0.33 is green, and dashed 0.66 is red and dashed, and that's how I save it. So now I can draw these lines in between, and Carrie, looking at it, I'm seeing something's off. If I draw it that way, it doesn't quite line up. But if I split it the other direction, now this is starting to make a little more sense. So splits allow me to see in between the sequence and determine what the best fit of the polarity might be. Use splits both ways and determine what is the best fit split that explains the polarity at the moment. Is it reverse pole or nominal polarity? And right now, if I draw the splits this way, it makes more sense, which means that this pattern 2 will either go sideways or drop down. It means I can try a CDOS to the sell side, or it means if I'm trading the trend, I can wait until 10 o'clock on a 5-minute chart, or I can trade a puncture and look for it to go higher. So using splits in phase 4 allows me to ascertain polarity with an awareness that the cycles invert and try to figure it out. Let's go down to a 1-minute chart and delete all of our stuff. Let the signals come back. Here we go. All right. So how does that polarity look to everybody right now? Does that look normal, Ken, or does it look backwards, Mary? Did the 931 signal go up or down? Just a cursory awareness of it says, okay, we came up, we got to the sell signal, and what did it do? It went sideways. The white signal at 930 came up. Here comes 944. This is an uptrend. This is an uptrend. This trend will continue higher. How do I know that? Because the trend doesn't start to reverse until I see this. A rapid acceleration sell dot has to appear before the trend reverses. And even then, it goes higher into a 5. You see what I'm saying? How do I know this is probably going higher? Because I haven't seen this guy yet. And now, William, look, that's a high close candle, isn't it? Maybe it's this one. Maybe it's this guy here. And there'll be a second high close and a third high close. Isn't that cool? To be able to know a trend doesn't stop going up until we see a rapid acceleration sell dot appear is phase 4. There's a structure to this stuff. All right, let's come over and take a look at the NQ. NQ 1 minute chart, we'll pull it back open. Let's take a look at what we've learned to date so far and walk through the phases and understand how there's an evolution of thought. If we're studying this like we did on Tuesday, what are we applying? What are the rules? We have signal with trend, we have crossover, we have aggressive counter trend, and then we have CDOS. So if we look at this, let's look at what's on our chart from 830 forward. We'll keep track of the profit and loss. 831 is a signal with trend. We have to get out by 833. 833, we lose a point and a quarter. 833, the risk is from the close of the candle until 2 ticks below the low of the candle. And now we're looking to get 100% RR. We have to exit by 846, aggressive counter trend, in and out, plus 16. 846, signal with trend. The stop is here. We have to be out by 850. We give back 650. 850, the risk on this trade is just below this little candle. We basically hit that and we get 550. We have a crossover variation. The candle closes above the moving average. Stop goes 2 ticks below the low of the candle. We have to be done by 858. Also a winner. Boom, boom. $9. 858, aggressive counter trend trade. Our stop goes just behind structure. Right here, we can see we hit that stop. We give back 625. Does not puncture, crossover candle. Stop goes above the high. Close of the candle. We're going to get out at the 910 signal. Right here, plus 23. 910, no structure immediately to the left of us. Our stop goes right below the candle. We give back 5 3/4. Now we have a crossover candle here. 910 is a buy. No, 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 no. Crossover. We're looking for a 2-to-1 RR. We put our stop 2 ticks below that candle. Very small risk reward calculator here. Crossover variation. Exit with 200% for plus 11. 924 is an aggressive counter trend trade. Structure is just above us. We come over, we hit the stop, we give back 5 3/4. Puncture trade, stop below the low of the candle, punctures through the blue line, 100% RR, we get 2.75. Signal with trend at 931, did it hit the stop? I can't tell. No, it misses it by 1 tick. It touches the line, it doesn't go through where my stop is on the other side. 2-to-1 RR. We put our stop below that white line. Forgive me. Phase 1. Continued. We have to be done by 9:33. In at 9:31, out at 9:33 plus 450. 9:33, there is no immediate structure to the left. We have an aggressive counter trend trade. Our stop goes above this candle. We enter here looking for a short. If it gets more than halfway towards our target, we move to break even. Let's see what it did. It moved more than halfway before it hit our stop, so that is a break-even trade. Puncture, one tick above the blue line right here. Our stop goes below the puncture candle. Now we're looking for 100% RR from here to here, and we come up and hit that 100% target on the puncture. Phase 1, we're still phase 1. Now signal with trend at 9:43. 9:43, we're looking for a 2-to-1 RR. Boom, 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 boom. Comes up, hits 100%, gets to 150%, which means we lock in 100%. We have to be done by 9:47. In, out, 38 points. 9:47, aggressive counter trend. We want it to go down. It doesn't go down. It comes up and hits our stop just to the left of structure. We give back 19. And now we're moving into 9:51. Okay, at 9:47, here's my suggestion. What are we starting to see? It's closing higher by 9:51. William, if I draw a rocket ship plume underneath it, does 9:47 appear in form to look like a rapid acceleration sell dot? It is climbing and climbing and climbing. Yeah. Which means 9:51 is likely to do what? Phase 3 learning. Drop down. Exactly. So if we just stuck with phase 1, and that's all we did from the econ this morning, let's add it up. 16, 25, 30, 55, 59, 69, 70, 80, 120, 100, 95, 94, 88, 82, minus 6, 76. Call it $70 on the NQ following the rules, plus 1,400 theoretical dollars using the phase 1 signals. Not looking at CDOS, it's too much here to track today. Now, how does any of this help us? Remember at 9:44 when I said if we look for a high close signal in an uptrend, I'm highly suspicious of it. I know I'm hitting you with a fire hose today, but it's for your own good. You paid good money. What did I say, William? If I see one of these high close signals attached to the sell signal, what am I watching for as a phase 4 acolyte? How long is that market likely to go? Higher. Till 9:59. Why? Because in phase 4, if it goes higher, it goes up until the next buy signal, which is almost always the high. If it's a pattern 5, it means that 9:59, 9:58, or 10 o'clock is likely to be the highest high structurally at that point. Kind of neat, right? So a rapid acceleration cell dot is a precursor to a puncture. Why would we buy if it goes through the blue line? Back in phase 1, we don't know that this happens. In phase 4, it's going to happen. It has to happen. Okay. Let's take a look at a blank chart with no stuff on it. I'm going to pull up what chart is this over here? That's Tesla. Let's pull up a gold chart. It's Tesla on a 2-minute chart. Oh, it's down here. Okay, never mind. Let's look up gold. Gold futures on a 1-minute chart. Perfect. Wait for the signals to come. There we go. Carrie, what can you tell me, guys, what can you tell me about the gold chart right now? Is gold's uptrend in place? Is it going to continue higher? Does it look like it's terminating? Are the signals inverted? Are they normal? What can you tell me looking at this chart? Here's what I see. 940, high close sell signal. Carrie, I can describe that as a rocket ship and say, if I put flames underneath it, did it go up at 940? Yes. What's happened at 948 instead? It pushed down. At 940, we finished higher than we started, which is phase 3 learning. We dropped down. Now we're at 953, and that's a high close candle. The signals are starting to go backwards. You can't see this and say it's nominal polarity. This is the tattletale. A sell signal that keeps going up. This is gold on a 1-minute chart. This is the S&P on a 1-minute chart. This guy is the tattletale. He's the bluff. He's the bluff. So now on gold, I'm going to reference my diagram and say, okay, I've seen this. I should start looking for a high, and I should start looking for a trend line down below that's sloping upwards. If the tattletale shows up, if I have one of these rocket ship sell dots in phase 4, phase 3 said, hey, the red dot went up, the green dot should go down. It did. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to draw that structure in. Where was the highest high? It was right here. Where's my trend line? There should be something down here that's kind of obvious that looks like this. I don't have to work very hard. I have 2 touch points right here. And so this may be the end of gold's uptrend right here. Okay, let's see what happens. Come back over. We'll push this to the left for now. Take a look at the 1-minute NQ. Let's get rid of this. And we'll get rid of all of our drawing objects. Phase 4 is a lot. I'm expecting a lot of you guys today, but I need to show you everything so that when you get here without me, you remember what I said. Up at 947, down at 951, up at 952, down at 956. Reverse polarity. I will take a zone and I'll draw it like this. I then start looking for a high right there. And now I'm looking for an emerging trend line, which is right here. If I see a close below the bottom trend line, I'm watching for a drop at 10:02. If we're still inside of the constraints, I'm looking for a rise at 10:02. If you're phase 2, you've identified by taking off your show signal dots only, and your software will now prominently display a pattern 5 at 956 and 957. Wherever you are in that mental progression, this chart will eventually update. It's taken a second, but that's a pattern 5 at 956 also. And 957. We'll pull that up real quick while the software is calculating. Take a look. If we arrive at a buying pressure time 956, which is a higher high, either candle 1, candle 2, or candle 3, whichever candle is higher gets a red arrow above it. Let me put it here. There's the prior swing high. 956 is higher. 957 is higher, which is this pattern right here. So this is phase 2. If we were using phase 3, we would see that we had closed higher from 952 into 956. We finished lower, we started higher. Our rev pole would put an orange arrow right above the 956 signal. You see how these things are progressing one into the next, into the next. And don't worry if you don't see it organically or naturally right now. Just trust that it's there when you're ready for it, if you're ever ready for it. And that's not a dig on you. I crashed out my Ninja. I had to redo that chart. Stand by. Let me get my NinjaTrader chart back up. Templates load. Okay, don't yell at me. Let's do 21 days. Did I lose my Ninja charts because of this error? Let's see if it comes up. I'm going to give it 1 second. Yep, NinjaTrader's freaking out. Doesn't want me to use NQ anymore. So that's fine. I would have to reboot the computer, but I'm not going to do that. I'll go to a different market. We'll go to gold instead, and we'll keep the ES for now. And higher close, higher close, higher close, rapid acceleration sell dot 949 into a pattern 5 at 951. And now I'm looking at the market this way. I'm establishing the high from the pattern 5. I'm looking for a trend line that looks like this. Everything in here I'm treating opposite until we close above or below. Gold, excuse me 1 second. Gold actually came down at 953 and up at 1002. So I'm going to take these off. And whatever happened here at the open, the broad strokes of all of this, I'm going to say that we're up until we see another rapid acceleration sell dot in gold. The trend in gold is higher and preserved. Let's take a market we haven't seen yet in my room. I'm going to sneak one in here. We'll pull up the Dow on a 1 minute chart. If Ninja's going to be weird about the NQ today. Here we go. Come on. There we go. So instead of the NQ, I'll have the Dow chart. And tell me what I'm seeing here. Phase one, I'm signal with trend at 935. I'm aggressive counter trend at 943. I'm a puncture with a stop out. I'm a signal with trend at 954. I'm an aggressive counter trend short at 957 in profit. Phase two, there's a pattern 5 at 954. Phase three, the market finished higher between 943 and 954, which means rev pull. The market finished lower between 954 and 957, which means rev pull. And right now we're waiting to see where the market will finish by 10:08. There is a sequence of reverse polarity. Phase four, I have a rocket ship sell signal right here. It went up into a pattern 5. It came down into a pattern 8. And now I'm marking the high of the pattern because structurally this is usually where trends reverse. And I'm watching for some type of emerging trend line. There is none that I can see that's very obvious. I only have the one low here and the second low there. So it doesn't look at all like my pattern yet. I'm confused, honestly, about it. And so I'm going to assume that 10:08 is a potential sell signal because of that. And we'll watch for it. It doesn't look at all like my pattern here. So phase four, I'm watching to see what 10:08 is going to do. But I'm fairly certain that the trend is reversing. Okay, we closed underneath this. So on the ES, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a stop above the signal. I'm going to measure how big the range of that zone was. And now I'm going to look for it to continue down until here. That's 100%. Let's say we were a swing trader. I would have target 1 at 100% and target 2 at 200% down here. Anticipating that this is what's happening right now is a phase 4 acolyte. We've seen the rapid acceleration sell dot. The signals started reversing. The trend line I could see we just closed below the trigger candle. And now I'm looking for it to move 100 to 200% up or down if it closes in the other direction. On gold, what am I seeing? Gary, what just happened at 10:06? Come on, guys. Higher close, higher close, higher close. Gold is going to go up until when? 1010. Cheat code, high close, sell dot above the moving average. When can I go long? On the close of that candle. That is a rapid acceleration sell dot. We talked about this. So it did this over here just now, phase 4. Let's take a look at the E-mini S&P. And see what it does at 10:08. I can do a split in between the two signals and see which one of these identifies it the best. It did go up at 10:02. It did drop down at 10:05. I'm anticipating buying pressure here at 10:08, and then I can split these two signals and see the next sell is likely coming at 10:11. Any questions so far? Let's do a quick show of hands. There's about 20 people in the room today. If you had to describe your understanding of where you're at right now, you're a 1, you're a 2, you're a 3, you're a 4. Just a quick show of hands. Type a number. Give me a sense of what you're comprehending. William's like, can we use fractions? You're a 0.1. Okay. That's fine. Hey, let's be honest about it. Right? There is no shame. There is no good or bad. There's no catching up or lagging behind. There's just an understanding of, hey, I see this stuff, Mike. I just haven't progressed to that level yet. And that's fine. I want you to know there is a level. There is a level. Right? Okay. William, can you at least acknowledge when I drew this arrow down at 10:10 that it was based on what I taught you from 9 o'clock to 9:30? And that gold dropped down off of that candle before it went up? Yeah, right? I think that's cool. All right. If we're using stage 4, I can take the split between 10:08 and 10:17. And William, I can see that this is an area that I'm expecting to see prices come up. If the cycle polarity is still nominal, I should see us drop here. If I don't, I know that something's wrong. So one thing I can do is sort of lower my risk as I come into this and now drop down, or I can just get out of the trade if I want, and we can treat this next split differently. Let me just make sure we're not sitting on some weird news event. Nope. Consumer confidence, existing home sales was at 10 o'clock. That was all we had. Yeah, I don't see any other news to reference. Okay, if I look at the ES chart on the 1 minute time frame, I'm just going to start from scratch. I can draw the splits one of two ways. I can draw it this way. Carrie, let's call this A, Michael. This is A. And I'm going to draw it the second way, B. Which one of those makes more sense, A or B? This is B. This is A. I'll let you answer for yourself. Let's see. Yes, on the chart, what I'll do too is I'll type RevPol to remind me what's happening. So inside of phase 4, you can use splits to take a temperature of the polarity of the cycles. You can look inside and see what is happening right now. If we look at the YM chart, Jill, where are we in relation to where we started? 1008. We didn't move higher, right? We moved lower. Phase 3 says RevPol. We finished lower than we started by 1018. So what am I expecting at 1018? A termination. So we're down from 1008 until 1018. Kind of cool, right? I think it's cool because I don't care about the CPI report. I don't care about Donald Trump or Jerome Powell. I don't care about any of them. I'm just looking, what was the signal? What are the splits in between the wave? What am I expecting it to do now until 1017? I now have a low close buy signal. What am I suspicious of? I wonder if it will go down one more candle and down another candle and continue down now until 1024. 1018 is now a pattern 4, level 2. It is a RevPol signal, level 3. We are in a reverse polarity sequence, level 4. What can I try in the Dow at the close of the 1018 signal? I can try an aggressive counter trend long. I can try a CETOS if it closes high. In 8 seconds, what can I try? I put a buy right here with a stop right below the low. If it continues through the low, what can I do? Pattern 4, trend continuation. If my risk is that, I'm looking for 100% of my risk as my reward for an aggressive counter trend trade at 1018. Close in the direction of the signal at 1017 on the E-mini S&P. Phase 1. One thing about pattern 4s and 5s, if they do reverse, it happens violently and swiftly. It is not happening violently and swiftly on the Dow right now, which leads me to believe this is not a pattern 4 in terms of reversing. The personality of this dog is more like a lazy bloodhound just falling down. So it would be a chance for me to leave the party early. Low close, buy signal, phase 4 gold, looking for it to drop now until 1022 on the ES. Low close, buy signal, looking for it to continue down now until 1022. Low close buy signal, ES 1 minute on warp. What did I say? Down until 1024. Let's see what it does. If you were trading phase 1, this is a signal with trend until it closes below the moving average. Now you're out with a small loss. If it closes back above the moving average, it's a crossover trade on the E-mini S&P stage 1. Yeah, I don't know how to fix the trading view deal. Does anyone know how to fix it so that when the candle is forming, it's not red? Like right now it's red and then it turns green. Is that like a properties thing or a settings thing? I don't know how to change it, Carrie, so I gotta leave it. I'm sorry. Yeah, it bothers me too. It's just I'm not fluent in trading view yet. No, it's good feedback. I just don't know how to fix it. I am not as smart as I think I am. And I'm definitely not as smart as you think I am. That's been a hard life lesson. William says go to settings. All right, hold on. I'm more than halfway to my target, so I'm going to go to break even. Target filled on the rev pole signal, level 3. Crossover signal, level 1, 100% and 200% targets. I don't think I think you say Mensa material. I think mental material. Before I forget, gold. There's the pattern 5. There is the emerging trend line. We have closed underneath it, and now I expect 1019 to be a sell signal. 1019, though, is a pattern 4. I can then draw a split between 1019 and 1040, and if there is a push up in gold, it should happen at 1026. Right click, settings. I don't see anything, William. Symbol? Is this it? What do I do? What if I want the open candle to be like yellow? It's always red. All right, I'm not gonna screw around with it. You guys know what it's doing. Okay, pattern 4 signal here is going up on gold. Higher close, higher close, higher close on the ES 1 minute chart right here. Aggressive counter trend trade at 1024, stop hit. There's almost no risk on this trade right now. It is a high close sell dot right here. I would caution you right now to look at this as a rocket ship. High close sell dot above the moving average, higher close, higher close, higher close, rapid acceleration sell dot. It should continue higher now until 1028. Color bar, previous close. How about that? Okay. We'll see what happens. All right, 1018. Jill, if we look at that candle, the close of the candle at 1018 was here. We are now reverse polarity. We're higher than we were when we started. We're higher than we were when we started at 1018, stage 3. Rapid acceleration sell dot, carry rocket ship under the candle. We should continue higher until when? That's right. That's precisely right. It's kind of cool once you see it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, all of a sudden, the signals aren't wrong. It's our understanding of polarity that's misaligned. Okay, if it went up at 1019 and now it's starting to go down, best fit on gold. Ready? I move it and I push it around. We came up, put a doji candle. Jill, we started to go back down. This is currently the best fit using stage 4 analysis of the split between 1019 and 1010. I could do the same thing on Chronos. If it's been going up from 1022, I'll treat 1040 as the red and 1022 is the green, which means I should see a push back down at 1028. Pattern 5, level 2, ES 1 minute chart. Up until pattern 5. Where have we seen that before? Right there. It's okay. You guys know what it is. We won't mess with it. We'll figure it out. What this lets me do is look at any chart from scratch, any time frame of any chart, and sort of see what's going on. So like if we load, here's a good example. Bitcoin, the polarity is normal, right? So Carrie, yesterday when we had our perigee evente, the moon is as close to the earth as it can be. I can trade Bitcoin with an aggressive counter trend entry long at 107,562. And from the close of that, so far, it's come up $3,043. Okay, let's look at it on a 5-minute chart. And let's get rid of the indicators and just add warp to it. And tell me what you think you see based on all our stuff. Here, I'll get rid of the patterns. And now look at it through a stage 4 window. What do you see? Well, let's add some stuff to it, right? Draw a split from here to here. Jill, did the split look normal polarity or opposite polarity? Normal, yeah. So that means Bitcoin's going up until 1045, right? If it's going up until 1045, that means if it puts in a higher high, that means the uptrend is preserved, which means at 1045, it's either going to retrace or it's going to do what? Do one of these, rapid acceleration sell dot, which means Bitcoin should go higher until 1120. If we get to 1045 and it pulls back, it should go up from 1120 until 1220, and then it might do one of these again. It's kind of neat to be able to look at it that way. Okay, let's get rid of this. So what I'm going to do when it's my turn in the captain's chair next time is just stick with stage 1. I'll mention the other stuff, but we'll only trade stage 1 setups. Low close buy dot below the moving average, 1032 on the YM. We finished higher than we started, Jill. Stage 3, rev poll. Let's get this over here. We did have the correct polarity assessment. ES fell at the split. We're coming up at the next split here. Gold is coming up at its next green split. Let me run to the restroom real quick. Yep, same here, William. Let's take a 5-minute break. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's see what we got. On Kronos, we were looking for a drop at 1040. On gold, we were looking for a drop at 1040. Now, if we're stage 3, we finished higher than we started here. I'm going to stage 4 it and just put a split in between the two. And I'm still going to say we're backwards. And we go higher from here. Because we came up here and carry it stalled right there. The only 2 blue candles were on that red line. So I think we go up from here. All the signals are still a rev call. On the ES 1-minute chart, let's run a split and see what it looked like. Which one of those makes more sense? Carry this one, A, or B? B. A, or B? B. Yep, B. That's the cool part about this. So down, up, 1046 could be down. Same thing over here, 1049. Let's watch it and see. Gold. I don't know what gold's doing. It's so tight right now. It's hard to discern any kind of pressure. Okay, so we said down at 1040, which was also pattern 5. Now we know we can use the splits in stage 4. And the closer we get to 1048, the more likely an up move is to occur. If we go stage 3 on this one, we see that we're higher than we started by 1047, which means we're returning to nominal polarity. And we should go up and continue up until 1047 at this point. Weird market today. I didn't see any news or anything politically. At 1049 on the Dow, we have a pattern 5, stage 2, a higher high buy signal here and here. So this can be an area that we look for a short. If we're a pattern 5 trend continuation adherent, we want to look for a buy stop 2 ticks above the high to force it to continue to go higher.
So we could short it here with a stop above the high. And if it continues through the high, we can stop and reverse. All right, so there's the puncture on the pattern 5. I'll put my stop below the low of that candle to see if it continues. Over at the split on the ES here, we're expecting it to go higher on Chronos. And see what it does. Level 3, we finished higher than we started by the next split, which means that we're anticipating it to potentially go down now here. And keep an eye on it. Kind of boring. So I'll short it again with a stop above the pattern 5 on the third candle. And if it comes through, I'll reverse one more time. Okay. So if the ES is going to continue up, it'll be as we get closer to this 1056 signal. On the YM, we're seeing up at 1044, down at 1049. So the polarity is starting to reverse here, which is indicative of what? Potentially a trend reversal. Okay. So I don't think we're coming up through the high anymore. We'll get rid of that extra buy stop. We'll move to break even here and see what we do next. Over on the Chronos chart, we definitely fell down off of that high. So I'm going to basically say we finished higher by 1040. We finished lower by 1055. So stage 3, we are nominal polarity over there, dropping from 1047 on gold until 1057. We're nominal polarity there, so we should continue to fall until 1057 on gold. No, Tom, I'm going to be sending it out. I wanted to wait for today in case I had a eureka moment where I wanted to pass something along or add to it. So I'm going to make my final amendments to it and then make sure Rachel sends it out to everybody today. Sorry, I just saw your question. Okay, if we were short on the YM with a Rev Pol signal, pattern 5 signal, we're expecting it to go up at 1059. So this would be a good place for me to trail or exit. So I'll move it down just in case the polarity changes back, and then we're out about 150 bucks right there. So kind of coming around the horn full circle, I hit you with a fire hose today. But this is everything I know about the time signals. And it took me 16 years to get to here. Some of you have been here 16 days. That's fine. Lean into this because this works. This works. After a while, you're going to start to notice the 4s and 5s. So if we come over to this chart, we get rid of everything. I want you to just sort of see the natural progression of what I think you should do. Stick with this for a while. And then after a while, around the 4 to 6 week mark, turn off the show signal dots only and bring the patterns onto the chart. You'll see the 4s and 5s again. And then after about 12 weeks, come in and activate your RevPol rule 2. And then right around the 16-week period, start to draw splits. Start to come in here, do the A/B test. Get a feel for the cycles. Start to understand what the polarity is. Take a look and see when the signals are doing what they do and the pattern 5 comes in. Start looking for emerging trend lines. Notice that it's going up at 1044. Notice that it's going down at 1049. Notice that it's going up at 1059 and reference the guidebook and say, hey, that's what that pattern looks like. But at any point, if you see a signal that isn't behaving the way you were expecting it to, the answer is going to be in one of these 3 videos, or it's going to be in this book. Realign yourself. If you see a buy dot that's going down, if you see a sell dot that's going up, resist the temptation to think this was a bad signal, and instead ask yourself, what is happening at this time that I'm not understanding? Or what bias did I have coming into this time that is not in alignment with what's actually happening? Backwards happens. Backwards happens in packs. There are 2 cycles, blue and orange. Are we on the orange wave or the blue wave? Split it into thirds, check A, B, and C. When I come back, you got Phil next week. I will be exclusively trading signals with trend, crossovers, punctures, aggressive counter trends, and we'll have one market set up exclusively for CDOS, closes in the direction of the signal. Maybe we'll do that with gold, and we'll do these with the ES and the NQ. Does anyone have any questions as we finish up for the morning? Okay. It's a lot. I know it's a lot, but swim in the level that you're comfortable with, and every once in a while poke your head out and try something that's a little harder than you were doing the day before. I promise you, it's all going to come into focus. And if you never leave stage 1, it's fine. All right. I love you guys. I'm proud of you. Thank you for listening to me teach these things. I think these videos and the book, when I finish this afternoon, will be very useful and a good reference for us moving forward. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.